GBTC outflows slowly begin to inch and squinch higher. Yet again, can the Moon Boys out-gobble all of the outflows in what will certainly go down as the Great Gobbling, as institutions continue to gobble up Bitcoin like we've never seen before? But can the baby bulls gobble themselves all the way to the biggest bust of all time? After almost 2 weeks of straight gobbling only, Bitcoin over the last 2 days has put in two very interesting daily candles, and potentially now many people are calling for a drop, and we're going to explore that. We're going to explore the people saying that, but more importantly, we're going to explore two things that are, I would even say, twice as big as that. So if you love getting pumped on, but you secretly also wish that you would get dumped on so that you can gobble up some very cheap Bitcoin, hit that like, hit that subscribe, get signed up to Femex below if you want to buy Bitcoin or altcoins. And without any further ado, let's absolutely dump in. As you can see on this daily chart for Bitcoin, interesting, right? We take a look here. What are these two interesting candles we're seeing? Well, right now Bitcoin is struggling around the a little under the $52,000 level. Significantly above all key daily moving averages, clearly right here, the 2150, 100-day moving average, very high up there, so nothing quite bad there. We do see the MACD on the daily chart actually for the first time start to curve potentially downwards for the first time since the very beginning of February. And on the weekly chart for Bitcoin, this is where we're really going to look for signs. There is bearish divergence. We covered that between the RSI and the price of Bitcoin. Are we in store for a pullback, or in fact, is something much bigger actually about to happen? So before we continue with that, let's absolutely dump into some very big data. Massive net inflows to Bitcoin from the ETFs are continuing, averaging a little less than 10,000 Bitcoin per day. The fact that price has gone sideways for the last 2 days means that significant sell side supply on order books is at around 52,000. Maybe Genesis is selling from GBTC. Maybe they're unloading their bags, right? We heard earlier in the week that they had the all go to basically start selling. Is this why we're getting some dumpiness? So 30-day total fund inflows, and you can see if we zoom in here to the fund inflows to right here in 2024, look at this massive spike, right? This, in my opinion, is going to absolutely eclipse the spike that we saw in 2021 here, but this is just the beginning. This, in my opinion, right here, this line right here, in a couple of months, is going to make this look like, nothing. It's going to look like a micro bust. So get ready. Another jump in Bitcoin ETF inflows just won't stop. We are seeing a slight increase in the outflows, however, and that's why we're kind of just sitting sideways right now. Another almost 500 million net inflow into the Bitcoin ETFs, despite increased GBTC redemptions. And Alistair on Twitter highlights, has Genesis potentially started selling. And here, OTC desks are getting drained of their coins. The voracious demand from ETFs is going to lead to an explosion in price pretty soon. There isn't much on exchanges for sale. You can see these. Look at this total OTC desk balance. Look at this. Less and less and less. The fight for the Bitcoin supply is on like we've never seen before. Supply for Bitcoin is, people are thirsty for Bitcoin. And unfortunately, there's just not enough juice to go around. So some people are going to end up very, very thirsty unless they pay a lot of money. Last week, Bitcoin ETFs hooped up over 8 times the amount of Bitcoin produced. Bitcoin bought last week was about 50,000, but only 6,000 were produced. Guys, you understand, if this trend continues, let alone if it increases, but if this trend just continues, there is simply not enough Bitcoin to gobble up. So price has to go up. Yesterday, again, was very strong, about $500 million USD net, despite increased GBTC outflows. We can see that here on BitMEX Research's data sheet here. If we zoom out, you can see very clear the inflows are still very strong as of yesterday. Bitcoin ETFs have had 15 consecutive days of net inflows worth a total of about $4 billion US, over 80,000 Bitcoin. This is strong momentum. I actually want to highlight something. Before the ETFs were approved, I remember I was getting comments at least once a day from some people. I think it was like one guy too. He was saying, hey, Canada's had Bitcoin ETFs forever and it didn't do anything to the price. Guys, you're comparing Canada's ETFs to these ETFs? I mean, what are you smoking? Put the crack pipe down. There were literally people that were commenting that as if it was like a big gotcha. Like, oh, you're right. I guess Canada did have ETFs. I guess these ETFs won't do anything. I mean, give it a couple weeks and look how wrong those people were. Absolutely delusional. These are the people we're dealing with here. Flows of Bitcoin versus gold this week. Absolute slaughter. The flippening is just beginning. Here we have, if we zoom out, you can see inflows to Bitcoin versus outflows of gold. Gold's not doing very well. And I also just want to highlight, do you guys remember the flippening? This was back, I believe, in 2017. But do you remember when there was that big debate between Bitcoin and like Bitcoin Cash as the real Bitcoin? And like, I think it was Bitcoin Cash. And Bitcoin Cash it got kind of close, but it almost flipped Bitcoin. Do you remember that? Those are some dark days. So I'm very thankful to be where we are today. If you didn't experience that back in 2017, it was pretty nutty, right? There was people actually saying Bitcoin was not the real Bitcoin. And that was nuts. Bitcoin ETFs are catching up to gold ETFs. 37 billion for Bitcoin, 93 billion for gold after just 25 trading days. Wow, impressive. Now, I actually want to talk a little bit about not the ETFs for a little bit. So, Trendrider on Twitter saying, get ready for liftoff. ADA is gearing up for a major breakout. ADA's value soared from 11 cents to $3 when these two moving averages transitioned from red to green. Here we have the 25 and 200-day EMAs. And if we zoom in here, this is very big. ADA is one of the largest altcoins, largest blue chip altcoins, and we're getting the signal on this chart. And altcoins also, I think, are about ready to print, and we're going to be looking at that in just a second as well. Looking here, altcoins about to explode. Titan of Crypto highlighting this. Imagine being sidelined at the dawn of alt season 2024. This is the total 3 market cap. Actually, this is total 2 market cap, but total 3 and total 2 look pretty similar. Very bullish. Actually, if we do go to the total 3 or total 2 market cap, you can see we're about to enter the bust phase, in my opinion. I think altcoins are about to go big time, vertical. Bitcoin dominance also on the verge. We expect a rejection, Stock Money Lizard says, of Bitcoin dominance, which has been the signal in the past for alt season. He says he thinks altcoins are about to print crazy as we last saw in 2017 and in 2021. Looking at this chart, Bitcoin dominance has obviously been seeing lower highs, and it's coming up again right onto a level of potential rejection, a level of resistance. Now, talking about a potential pullback, Justin Bennett on X, Bitcoin remains vulnerable while below the $52,000 area. If he's wrong, he says, then Bitcoin should clear this area and base above it. But right now, he said he's bearish. So let's look at these two charts. So if we look at this kind of rising channel, you can see that we are coming up on a level, historically, if you use this rising channel on the one-day chart, going back to all of 2023, potentially will we see a rejection here? 2 of these are wicks. So what I would do, honestly, is move this down a little bit. Actually, what I want to do is just go to this chart and let's try and plot my own version of it just real quick to see. Not exactly sure. I kind of just pulled up the chart going back to 2023 and drew up my own kind of overhead resistance. And it looks more so like there's much more touches kind of here. And it looks more so, in my opinion, that it looks like it's breaking out. Now, up to interpretation, obviously. But going back to his chart here, he's saying potential resistance here, and he has a second chart. If you just zoom in, he's saying support is around the 48,000 or so level. I think that if we did come down to 48, that would be absolutely fine. I'll actually take a look at the charts in a second when I pull up my own Bitcoin charts. But here we have almost 20 million Bitcoin in circulation, 1.37 Bitcoin remaining left to be mined. 93.5% of the total supply is in circulation, meaning there's only 6.5% left to be mined. Only 64 days until the next halving, where daily issuance is cut in half, and ETFs are scooping up over 10 times the daily issuance currently. And people are selling because CPI came in higher, right? That's why the stocks are going down a little bit. That's why we saw the drop a couple days ago, CPI and then PPI, I believe today, who cares, right? You're going to sell your Bitcoin because of that, because of fiat? It's like, it doesn't make any sense. Bitcoin price without the price bubbles. If you really look at this, Bitcoin really is up only, right? You go back to 2010, 2011. It literally just been going up for the past decade plus. It's crazy to me. There are people, if you even had half this chart and you show that to me, I'd be like, wow, I probably wouldn't bet against this thing. But there are still people so delusional that they like celebrate when Bitcoin crashes to levels that are like, 10 times higher than they were 4 years prior to those things. And then they like are shocked every time it goes up, although it keeps only going up, and these people are shocked every time it happens. Like, how unable to learn do you have to? Your brain has to genuinely not be able to learn, incorporate new information, and learn from the information. You literally have to have a broken brain to not understand where this is going, and if you think it's really going to die, you're basing it on nothing, just delusional fantasy. These people have been only proven wrong time and time again. Let's say Bitcoin goes to 300,000 and then it crashes all the way down to 50 or 60,000. Those people still wouldn't be right, because then after it crashes to 50, 60,000, it's probably going up to what, like 900,000, a million, 1.5 million, 4 years after that or something like that. So there's no arguing with these people, but I don't even know. I don't understand how you can be so dense. But Bitcoin here on the verge of doing something it hasn't done in any cycle, Matthew Hyland points out, which is close a weekly candle above the 0.618 retracement. We have 2 days roughly until we get the close. This is extremely big possibility there. And On-Chain College highlights that new all-time highs for the Bitcoin hash rate. Basically what that means is the Bitcoin is the most secure that it's ever been. The network is the most secure that it's ever been. So that's big. We're seeing relentless accumulation like we're in the late stage bull market, except we're not. Long-term holders not interested in selling. 69%, nice, of Bitcoin hasn't moved for over 12 months. Can you believe this? Look at this. That's an insane metric. And I liked this tweet by Zach earlier. This X, I don't even know what they're called anymore. Tweets, X's, tweet. I'll just say tweets. Basically, he's saying that we dropped 20% after the ETFs and you got bearish, and he said that's an okay reaction, I guess. But now we dropped from 52,000 to 51, and people are somehow even more bearish. Here's the thing: people are just upset that they're sidelined because there are still so many people that are sidelined. All of the engagement. Do you guys? Just a couple of months ago, people like Crypto Capo or whatever, all of these people that are just delusional, engagement baiting, bear posting just for attention, even though it's based on nothing. And they've been proven so unfathomably bigly wrong, just so wrong, that nobody should ever listen to anything they say ever again because of how horribly wrong they were. Those posts were getting like a ton of engagement. I don't know the exact numbers, but I'm pretty sure it was like hundreds, maybe even thousands of retweets, thousands of millions of views on some of those things. And what does that tell you? It means people were genuinely kind of believing. They were in line with believing like, hey, we are just going to drop for another year or two. We're going to go well below 10K or all these crazy targets. So all of those people, right? Hopefully not all of them. I hope some of them came to their senses and got in. But so many of those people are the people that are sidelined. And we had a large sample size of people that we know for a fact were sidelined. And so this is a hated rally. So the reason I think people are panicking now is because they're mainly upset that they have not been able to participate in this rally. Now, if we actually look on Bitcoin's weekly chart, I believe, 47 to 48,000 is a big level of support. It is the largest area of accumulated volume below us immediately. The largest immediate level of volume. Next is right around like 42 to 44,000 US dollars, then massive around 37 to 38, massive around 30K, and so on and so forth, right? Tons of accumulated volume, which will likely play big support. And to the upside, the only level of large accumulated volume potentially as resistance is like 57,000 US dollars. So it'll be interesting to see what Bitcoin does here. More so, it'll be interesting to see if these ETFs will just negate some of this dumpy pressure if we truly get it. So I had this chart pulled up. Let me actually kind of just zoom in on this. What I was just talking about like 30 seconds ago, all of these levels of accumulated volume you can see here, And then this is the only one of resistance, kind of like right up there. But yeah, with that being said, let me go over to, well, this is the 4-hour chart. Yeah, you can see it stalling out, trading sideways a little bit. But again, it'll be interesting to see, will we come back to like 47 or 48 right here? And I mean, that's like the least dumpy we could get for it to be a pullback. I mean, I personally think that if we actually end up getting a pretty bad pullback, we might even go down to kind of like right around this range. Big level or a lot of previous resistance. There's the 21 and 50-day moving average right around there. So if we got a pullback to about 44,000 US dollars, that would be a very healthy retest and pullback. But I guarantee you, people would be losing their minds, getting extremely bearish if we did that. But if we came down to that level, that would be the biggest mistake you could make, is getting bearish here. This is where you should be getting bullish, right? This is where you could make sense to more accumulate in a bull market, not get bearish. That's the big mistake I think a lot of people might make. And get signed up to FEMAX below if you want to buy Bitcoin, altcoins, or begin trading. And with that, for the McGee.